they don't have, the chair of that don't have to be, like, Bob Burns was for a long time from John. Bob Burns took over from the lady, or Jeff took over from Donna, yeah. And then Bob Burns was for a number of years, he was in Marshall, so.
And they're gonna split it off to East 23 Coalition. Well, that's what Percy was talking about when I was in DC with him.
I haven't heard that one yet, no.
I know.
Is Bertram on that?
Right now, solid waste. I feel like sweater.
You can just hear, they can start to sweat up.
Yeah. I thought our problem was not gonna be our problem.
Been able to connect to the router?
Here, let me see, I'm gonna try it again.
You just gotta turn
Phones off.
And your watch.
No watch.
Oh.
I still haven't figured out to turn that off.
like Ed would say, throw it right in the pit.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I told my wife.
Maybe,
She ever got me one of them for Christmas, I'm gonna toss it in the river on the way through Royalton.
maybe you'll have to visit Pop's
Be a heck of
Farm,
a
Jerry.
throw.
We're live.
That'd be a heck of a
Yeah, now when you go across that one.
We did
She comes
do
straight
it.
in.
Oh, boy.
Nobody needs to keep track, I might thought that nobody needs to keep track of anything that's anything happens on your phone.
You just don't like to be connected on.
Well, yeah, I like to be connected, every time it dings, I go like this.
Connected only in your time?
Yeah, on my time, on my terms.
Wow,
Selfish.
wow. You know you are a commissioner 24/7.
I'm debating that yet.
Ouch. So how do you really feel about that?
Well, there's other things in life I gotta do too.
Wow, that's great.
Oh, you're
Monty's-
early, Monty.
Monty's just
Settle down.
itching. Take her easy there, big fella.
Someplace to go?
Yeah.
Just stretch it.
Right.
Doesn't matter how much you stare at that thing.
I was gonna say a whole minute early, I know.
Clock rules our lives.
It sure does.
Well, at least he hasn't interrupted you yet to start.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, move on to roll call. Beth, please.
Sure. Commissioner Schlangen? Here. Commissioner Heinen?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Kapinski?
Here.
Commissioner Pop?
Here.
Thank you. Move on to approval or amendments to the agenda. Monty?
We have two things, Mr. Chair. The first will be consent item number 6, management representation letter for agreed upon procedures. Second, you have an item from Roxanne Land Services regarding the Pulp Douglas Solid Waste Management application for capital assistance. That would be her third item. Looks like Roxanne starts at 9:50, so it'd be the third item on the 9:50 for Roxanne.
All right, anything else?
That's it, yep.
Okay.
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion and second to approve our amended agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. County board meetings are broadcasted live and video recorded on YouTube. Please refrain from speaking from the audience area and come to the podium so that viewers can hear you. County board observes Robert's Rules of Order for its meetings, so please obtain the board chair's consent before addressing the county board. Public comments are generally reserved for the open forum segment or public hearings. However, public comment on other agenda items may be allowed at the discretion of the board chair. As we begin today, please turn off your cell phones or turn them to vibrate. Thank you. Open forum, is there anyone here that would like to speak during the open forum section? If you could check, please, Beth, thank you.
Gotta make sure she gets her steps in, Mr. Chair.
Nothing? Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. You've seen the addition of item 6, the management letter. You should have that in front of you.
Move approval of items 1 through 6 on the consent.
Okay,
I'd like to hold number 4.
all right, we'll get
I'll-
a, are you okay with that?
Yep, I'll
Amending
amend.
that? Okay, so 1 through 3 and 5 and 6, Commissioner Kapinski?
Yep.
And you're okay with that, Commissioner Schlangen, is that your second? 1 through 3, 1 through 4? You wanted to pull 4?
Yep.
Okay.
Pull 4.
Pull 4, all right. So we have a motion to approve 1 through 3, 5, and 6. Any discussion on those? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, we didn't have a second.
I assumed it
She
was
did.
her second.
She didn't make a second.
Are you okay with a second on items
Yes.
1 through 3, 5, and 6?
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, thank you. All right, again, any other discussion on 1 through 3, 5, and 6? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's carried. Commissioner Schlangen, item 4.
The second paragraph on, was that supposed to be March 1 of 23, or is it 22?
That's 23.
Okay, so there was just a typo there.
Yes, you're absolutely right about
That's it.
Okay.
Okay. You want to move for approval then on it?
With the change to March 1st, 2023.
Okay, I'll second that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it's carried. All right, Monty, presentation by Marion Larson representing the Central Minnesota Emergency Medical
Marion
Services
is here.
Region. All right, Marion, please come to the podium and welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. I have a handout for the board and one here too. That'd be great. Thank you very much. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Marion Larson. I'm the Regional EMS Coordinator for Central Minnesota. We are an 11-county joint powers board. I'd like to tell folks that we serve the area from Albertville to Walker, Wadena to Wisconsin. So the big middle chunk of the state, which Benton County is a part of. Historically, we've been funded through the state of Minnesota. We have both general fund dollars and seatbelt citations, which we rely on for our operational expenses. Fortunately, and both unfortunately, more Minnesotans are buckling up now more than ever. So we've seen a steady decline in our seatbelt revenue. And then our operating fund from the general fund from the state of Minnesota has remained flat since prior to the year 2000. So we're operating with the same amount of dollars that we were before the turn of the century. And when we adjust for inflation, it's been precipitously just declining. The work that we do is we work with anybody who would come to your house or business if you called 911 because you were having a heart attack or your child was injured. So that includes area fire departments, first responder groups, ambulance services, law enforcement. In Benton County, you're one of my smaller counties with a number of services. So you have 7 agencies within your county, all fire departments or law enforcement agencies. But you are covered by both Mayo Medical ambulance and North Memorial out of Princeton to make that ambulance coverage. We've done 3 primary programs in the past. We've helped services defray the cost of being certified emergency medical responders and emergency medical technicians. We've provided grant funding for equipment purchases, and we provide critical incident stress management services, which if there's a critical call, a department can call our CISM team. That team will come out and help them not critique their how they handled the call, but what happened during the call and how they can mitigate the stress associated with it. Primarily, we get calls for pediatric involved incidents and people that they know or have served with. We have a pretty unique relationship with our CISM team and Benton County in particular. All of our CISM calls are answered by your PSAP. So the Sheriff's Office has graciously offered to be that first point of contact for our CISM team for about 20 years since we became a Joint Powers Board. And we were eternally thankful for them for doing that. And then I think the main purpose of the region is to have coordinated services during disasters. So if there was a flood or a tornado or a long-term care a facility that needs to be evacuated, or a hospital. If your local ambulance service was unable to handle that by themselves or with their mutual aid, the region's able to come in and help coordinate those services. I like to tell folks we want to make sure that the right resource is for the right patient in the right amount of time. Because transporting somebody by ambulance can be confusing and can have a lot of nuances. So we're able to help them with that. We also do a lot of naloxone and overdose activities. We provide naloxone to any public safety agency within our 11 counties. We do naloxone training. We help provide them with templates and policies to make sure that they can do that. All of these services that we offer need a person in place to be able to help coordinate that, and that's currently me. With the state funding that we're getting, we're not going to be able to sustain this level of service and have somebody help coordinate that if we don't fund it appropriately. So I guess my board has tasked me with going around to each one of our member counties and telling you about what the region does. And Commissioner Gopinski serves on our board currently. Commissioner Pop is the alternate, and Commissioner Heinen has served in the past. And they recognize that our funding is decreasing and we need to do something about it. Currently, we're asking all of our county boards to approve of or to support the legislation that's down at the Capitol at the moment. House File 621 by Representative Hewitt and Senate File 1017 by Senator Seeberger is an opportunity for the regions to have additional funding come to them. We currently receive about $73,000 a year, and it's just not enough. We're looking at a gap July 1st if we don't receive this additional funding. If we don't have that additional funding go through this legislative session, I'm assuming the board will task me with coming around and finding a local answer to make sure that we can still have our services in place, whether that's each county finding dollars or some sort of other local opportunity. But we're doing our best, and we're asking for your support down at the state level currently. Any questions for me?
Mr. Chair, I serve on this board, obviously. Marion does a great job. Chair Jelinski has been very upfront and forefront on going for additional money. And I've talked numerous times about the opioid settlement and stuff like that, about potentially that might be an avenue down the road to help fund this. I think either way, the county's gonna be on the hook for whether we do this on our own or we stay in this consortium of counties, and it's gonna be cheaper to figure it out, with the 11 counties versus by ourselves. So, we hope that everybody supports this, and if it doesn't pass, we gotta figure out other avenues to help fund this.
Right, even if the dollars go away, the work that needs to be done doesn't.
Yep.
Marion, I just have two questions. I wanted to verify that House File 621, is that what that was?
Correct.
And the Senate File 1017?
Correct. House File 621 was laid over last Wednesday for inclusion, the possible inclusion in the omnibus bill. I haven't heard of a Senate hearing yet, but
Okay.
it's been referred to committee.
And my second question, just because one of the numbers that popped out on this sheet is 2022 ambulance calls, 2,679. That's over 7 a day.
Correct. So that was the number from the EMS Regulatory Board. They recently came out with a report last week, and the numbers are not the same.
Okay.
So I have to confirm with them, what's the difference between the numbers that
I would
they're
assume
showing?
those are ones that originated in Benton County?
Correct. Yep, they've been
So
geolocated
between
to
North
this county.
Memorial and Mayo?
Fully.
Only, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's your fire departments too, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Foley, the east side of St. Cloud would also be counted in your numbers.
Sure, but I mean, it's
Right.
anything that was
Anything.
originated in the county.
Correct.
Right, correct.
It seemed like a lot to me.
Right. I will
Yeah.
double check their numbers. It seemed a little bit high to me as well, but.
Commissioner Pop?
So, when I was down to the cities 3 weeks ago or so, and we sat in Representative Hewitt's office and had a long conversation, and one thing that stuck out when we talked to him is, he said if you take Minnesota and you go north of the metro and you just take a C and you drop out the metro part, that someday they're gonna be starving in that rural parts of Minnesota, that there will be no ambulance service, there will be no first responders if they don't fund it. So he's really an advocate for sponsoring, emergency management systems, and I think that, but it didn't sound like he was too promising on this year's funding, is what I got out of it.
I think as historically for the region, we have attempted funding at least for the past 8 years. I've been here for 10. And we haven't had a great success rate. We saw some one-time funding this last biennium, which was really welcome and really helped us operate. But we are looking at a huge workforce shortage in outstate Minnesota, or our region in particular. As a region, we have funded 3 EMT initial classes within our region. Last year in St. Cloud, this year in St. Cloud, one in Onamia, to try to get EMTs that can work on ambulance services. That's 30 people that we've put through class to try to help that workforce. We are currently trying to develop a youth camp, an EMS camp for kids ages 8 to 13 and 14 to 17, to get them interested in EMS careers, so that your local ambulance service will have all the tools they need to be able to have that community ed summer camp, or that day camp. Because we're really trying to make sure that we have somebody in the outstate who can come and respond when you need the help. We're doing the best that we can with the limited dollars that we receive.
So, one more question. So you don't have funding no more, like, to go out when they have to buy new equipment to help fund equipment to fire departments and first responders no more, do you?
Very limited. It really depends on if we have a special allocated pot of funding from the state that year. We used to use seatbelt revenue for that. That doesn't quite work anymore.
Mr. Chair, I sit on the State Legislative Committee for Fire Departments, and on Monday, our chair, BJ Jungman, had given us update on Hewitt 621, and he believes that will end up making it into the bill.
That'd be
So-
nice.
That was just on Monday.
Hope springs eternal.
Exactly, yeah, but they've got some lobbyists that are working very hard on that, and as anything, it's politics down there, so.
Marion, I'm sorry if I missed the number. What were they looking at in those?
In Senate file and House file 621, we're looking at an additional $100,000 a year, which is great. Like, we're not going to say that this is not something we're gonna advocate for, because we certainly are. To be very transparent, I think even if that passes, I'll be back here in another 3 to 4 years saying that
Right.
it's just not adequate.
Sure.
Dollar for dollar, we saw more funding in 1989
Yeah.
than we did in fiscal year 21.
This board needs to be funded, because if we just get enough to get by, it's not doing the things that we need to be doing, which is training, which is the naloxones, which is the grants, and keeping all these departments going.
Correct. We've tried to sustain as many of our core programs as we can at the cost of staff. We used to be 1.6 FTEs. We're 1.0 now. There's not a lot more that we can cut programmatically before we start cutting critical infrastructure.
One more, is the 100,000 for each region? Like,
Yes, it's for each region
Okay.
annually. Yep,
In how many regions?
they're 8.
8?
8. Yep.
Oh, okay, follows the state region though.
yeah.
Oh no, they're all different.
Okay.
We have special borders
Okay.
that don't line up with anything else.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Marion? Thank you.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
time.
the
Thanks,
update.
Marion.
All right, I'd like to invite representatives from the city of Gilman to give us an update on their wastewater system. Anybody who'd like to come to the podium and talk with us, that'd be great. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Adam Mueller. I'm the current elected mayor of the city of Gilman. We're here today to promote our current sewer and stormwater project we have going on up there. A couple of years ago, we got reached out by the county highway department. They were gonna rip up the roads going through town within the city limits, CASA 3 and 5, and asked us if we wanted to kind of align our sewer, any kind of sewer maintenance. We looked at what we had, and we decided that we should probably replace. Since then, the scope of the project has expanded. We've annexed in additional properties that are close to the city limits from the Alberta Township, and we're just kind of promoting getting additional funding for that. Today with me, I have council members Andy Schomer and Jeremiah Daler, as long as with our head of water treatment, Kevin Safransky. Hopefully they can go through a little bit more of the numbers with you, the scope of the project, and what our treatment facility looks like today. So I'll give it up
Thank
to
you.
Andy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As mentioned, Andy Schomer, City Council Member with the City of Gilman. Ultimately, what we've seen is the scope has increased, not only the scope, but the cost. Estimated cost from the time we started looking at this project about 2 years ago has gone up by about $1 million. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is minimize the effect of this project on our residents. We know that there's going to be an increase in the cost of their sewer bills, but we're trying to make that still be affordable for them. Currently, when we first started this project, we were very fortunate in keeping the costs of the sewer very low for our residents at $25 a month. In talking with Bolig Engineering, who we're working with on this project, those were among the lowest rates in the state. We know that's not sustainable, and to date, they have gone up to $35 a month. But when we started looking at this project 2 years ago, when we take into consideration the grants that are expected through rural development and other opportunities, the 40-year loan to take care of the rest of the funding would put our residents at about $70 or $80 a month. A significant increase to them, and especially with many of our residents being on fixed incomes, a lot of lifetime residents. We're really just looking to be able to do this project for the safety and health of our residents, as well as longevity of the community. And as Mayor Mueller mentioned, we're expanding into additional residences that were originally on the outside of the town, but are now within the city limits, so that we can have more people, more households on the sewer system. So ultimately, we wanted to be here to see if there was any questions that the board had in regards to it. What we've done so far, I had mentioned we're working with Bolig Engineering, who is really heading this up for us, bringing their expertise to the project. But of course, we wanted to be available for any questions that anyone had.
Okay, any questions for Andy before we hear from the other ones? Okay, thank you.
I'm Kevin Safransky, I'm the wastewater operator for the city of Gilman, and I'll just give a little history on our system there. The system was put in 1965, and a lot of the pipes under Highway 3 and 5 are original yet, so they're approaching 70 years old or whatever. And as we look at it, I believe the roads were redone about 30 years ago, so the next time they would be tore up would be most likely another 30 years, and our system would be 100 years old then. We've done an excellent job of maintaining the place. Mike Wordish before me and myself, I've been there 17 years now. We don't have any incidences of, once in a while a report gets late but it's nothing serious. But what was I gonna say here? Like I say, the system is 100 years old. We've had 2 extensions put on there, and these grants and stuff would not affect them, because those are the new PVC sewer pipes, so they're clean. We've done research. We've had 7 years ago we replaced the lift station pumps, so those are up to date. With part of this thing, we've had Nelson Septic came and videoed all the sewer lines. They found out where some of the bad places really are, and they should be replaced. And but they said overall it's not terrible, but again, in 30 years, where would they be then? Again, Andy had said too that the rate, that's the main thing, is that the sewer rate going up that much is not affordable for most of them people. They're concerned. We've had meetings about that, and that's their main concern. Otherwise, that's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Anyone else?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioners. Thank you for having us. My name is Jeremiah Daler. I am also a council member with the City of Gilman. And just a couple of follow-up points from them. First of all, actually, I should thank Commissioner Johnson. He did come to our meeting here a couple of months ago. First of all, just to reach out to see what concerns we have as a city. And as they had mentioned, just the affordability of the project is the big concern. You know, we have 224 persons in our town, and average median income is around $49,000. So we've got a number of people that are really at the poverty level, and you know, going from $25, $30, $35 a month on sewer up to near $80 a month really is unaffordable for some of our residents. So that really is one of our largest concerns. I think another reason why we would ask for your support by having some of those local people near the town now being annexed in. It also, you know, I think promoting the centralization of wastewater and sewer. I know that's something that pollution control has been kind of focusing on the last number of years. So I know that Commissioner Johnson at our meeting had mentioned there may be some ARPA funds that would be available, and we would very much appreciate their consideration in whatever funding, I guess, that could be available to help to offset some of these costs and help keep this project affordable for our residents.
Jeremiah, if I could, and I don't know if you're the one to answer this or not, as I look at you've got sheets here that are in our packet and the total cost coming in at 12.7 million, and you've got a breakdown kind of wastewater collection, wastewater ponds, storm water, ineligible streets. Are you able to talk to us at all about, do all of those come into this project, or you're giving us numbers that are showing different projects for the total? I guess I'm just kind of wondering, is it all or nothing? I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that, or what your plan is.
We can scale back. So part of the approach with working with Bolig Engineering has been, when we're reaching out for these grant monies, that we want to incorporate as much as we can with that project, because obviously when you go in, if you go in with a smaller scope and then say after the fact we want to increase that's not a possibility. So there is the potential that we can shave some of this off, you know, but quite honestly, looking at a lot of the segments of this project, obviously the wastewater collection is a very vital part, making sure that the ponds are improved, that they're going to be able to sustain the added residents. But even in the stormwater as well, I mentioned that outside of the county roads that we do have some occasional flooding, you know, and especially in heavy rains, springtime. This is going to be a prime example this spring. So some of our city roads especially really would benefit from having those stormwater drains, and just to be able to, I think, overall appeal as well for the city and just make it more attractive for new people either to move in, or just when somebody puts a house up for sale, that can be a little more attractive to sell.
One other question, how many residents or people came in with the annexation? How many did you guys add? Roughly.
13 households, I believe.
13 households?
Yes.
Okay.
Roughly, I think, 110 acres.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Kevin, this question's probably for you, but I assume the piping that's under CASA 3 and 5 right now, you may have mentioned it, that's the old style piping
That is the
under
old style.
both CASA roads?
Yes, it
Yes.
is. And, I believe in, like, the early nineties, they had sealed some of them, so, you know, they had done some sealing of them, where they put plastic in there and expanded. But,
They put a sleeve
yeah,
inside.
those are all original there.
And if you were to completely guesstimate how much of your total system sits under CASA 3 and 5? Is it
Right
half?
now-
Is it more than that?
Right now, it'd be at least half.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
over half.
That's our project.
Yep, I know you.
And regardless, all sewer lines flow into 3.
Okay,
So
so CASA 3 is the main?
3 and 5 actually, but yeah, they pick up all of it, but 5 is a little shorter there.
Okay,
No, 3 is a little shorter.
okay,
I guess 5 goes straight through town, yeah.
all right, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, I don't know who can answer this, but if/when this gets done, how many more households would it be able to take on? You know, you mentioned the 13 being annexed in, but what does the development look like?
Right now, we're at, it's usually 30 to 40% capacity now on our sewer system. And that's with the 220, now additional 13, you know, where is that gonna go to? So I guess, Bollig really hasn't told us that yet.
Okay,
But, and we know, here's another issue that happens, is that, with this system now, as the snow melts and the rains come, every day I do the meter work, and when that happens, those meters go up, and if you didn't have a leaking system, it wouldn't go up.
Yeah.
I mean, so, we always see that, and that's one of our concerns too, is that system is old.
Okay, any other questions? Anything else? Well, great, thank you, that's good information, so that we can move forward and have some discussions coming up, and we'll be sure to be in touch.
Yep,
Thank you for coming in, appreciate your time. All right, with that, we're gonna turn over can we? Well, we got 2 minutes to spare. Good thing I checked on that. So it's your chance to sing Kumbaya for a couple minutes if you'd like, till we move into human services.
This kills me that we have timeframes on everything.
I know, it's kinda crazy.
I don't mind leading the singing.
Oh, we got 1 minute. I mean, take care of a couple of things.
Sure.
Ahead on. If you wanna wait, that's fine too.
Go ahead, Monty, go ahead.
I say you wanna take care of a couple of things and remind 9:35 if you wanted to.
yeah,
Should we do that? Board okay with moving into one item there?
Yep.
All right, let's move into the first one. Consider the invitation to participate in the Mighty Mississippi River Cleanup Challenge between April 15th and May 15th. I know it's in your packet.
Yeah.
Chance to look that over. Monty, you wanna touch base on that?
I didn't really have much more to add than what you
Okay.
see in the
Yep.
packet.
It's pretty straightforward.
I guess the issue is, do we wanna participate somehow, and what would that look like?
What's the interest? I guess my original thought was maybe with the help of Rice Sportsman's Club and then across the river, who's over there in Sartell?
I haven't heard from.
Stearns County.
Yeah, I haven't heard from Stearns County, Commissioner Persky is heading it up.
Yeah,
Mr. Persky did talk to me and said Stearns County is doing the other side
okay.
in Sartell.
There's other organizations that we could reach out to help too, like the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, 4-H clubs too.
Sure.
Because they gotta do community service and all of that too, for their merit badges and all.
I don't know what, he was talking that they were gonna get a dumpster and park it at, the Stearns County Park. Did they do any more than that?
I will be with him tomorrow, I'll find out, but I don't.
Okay. I did have a couple people at the WATAB annual meeting that reached out and thought it was a good idea. But we've had concerns when you park a dumpster somewheres,
Yeah.
how fast it fills up.
Yeah, that's my only concern
That's the
too. I mean,
downside.
when they do roadway ditches and all that, they use bags, and set them off to the side and they pick them up. But if you put a dumpster out like in our park, what's gonna be filled with?
Yeah.
Other than the debris from the river.
Well, and, more likely
tires.
to,
Well,
Visions.
and that's right, that's I wanna participate in this, but how are we gonna
oh,
do
we're
this?
gonna participate with it, yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Are you interested in talking with some of those groups or Rice and maybe coming back on April 4th and we can have a,
Well, and, we're getting later and later in this spring, and I think their days that they were gonna do it are now gonna be pushed back because the river's gonna be extremely high.
Is there any place that has cameras, like any of these townships that they could put a dumpster out there? That way if there's tires and everything like that coming in, you can at least see who's doing it.
I'm not positively sure, but I think WATAB's got cameras.
Oh, sure, at their facility.
Yeah.
I think they do.
I mean, we gotta put some onus on the people, but then you have backup of all of a sudden there's a refrigerator, that wasn't in the river. So, and at least you can figure out who's doing that.
Maybe I guess just to do our small part, I guess we could certainly contact a scout troop and see if they're interested in cleaning up the riverbank along Benton River Park. We've got what, quarter of a mile of river frontage at least. That's certainly, it's our part.
Sure.
We could certainly ask them to do that and provide them with the bags and whatnot. I don't think that would require a dumpster. Just
Sure.
we could.
Bags.
I think
Maybe that's a good start, and Commissioner.
we could certainly do that. Well, that's our part.
Yeah, I can talk to
Yeah.
Commissioner Persky tomorrow.
Okay.
As far as putting a dumpster, I certainly, we could put a dumpster in the parking lot out Bend the River, or with the permission of Watab, we could put one there in their town hall parking lot. I guess it's really a judgment call, should we?
Well, it'd be more convenient at Bend of the River, but at the end of the day, how full's it gonna get?
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of people come and go at the Benton River. I don't know.
I don't wanna put a lot of pressure on our public works or Jeff.
Well, obviously, we'd have obviously a hauler drop it there and pick it up, and it wouldn't be too much. It's just obviously the cost of having it there for a few days.
I think if we narrow that time frame down,
For a week.
yep, and then, cause a lot of people probably won't even know, and it'll just be the people probably on the river that know about it.
Sure. April 15th is what here?
Well, again, we'll
Saturday.
make a contact with the scout troop as far as a cleanup of our parks river frontage, and that's a start.
Does Foley have a scout troop?
We used to.
Wolf.
Jeff.
We used Sauk Rapids before. Actually,
Right.
one of the Sauk Rapids troop members is doing a Eagle Scout project out there this spring
At
for
the,
removing some buckthorn. So I could talk to him. They've helped us before in the past. They've actually painted the Benton Beach campground shelter out there and stuff. And they're usually looking for some kind of projects to do. So I could ask them about
That's a good start. Yeah.
do they,
what kind of
stuff.
timeframe would they be looking at. I
What,
mean,
what was the days that
It's
they?
April 15th, which is a Saturday, through May 15th.
So
What we
there's
should
there's
do-
flexibility then in terms
Yeah.
of when they get out there.
so do they want a donation too then, Jeff, when they do this stuff?
no, they usually they're doing it for their
Badges
Their
and
badges,
things like
right,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know
Mr.
what?
Chair.
Yes.
So Jeff, is that something you could reach out to the, well, I could too, of course, but.
Well, I
Is that
think
something-
Jeff's got a
Yeah, I
contact
could
there.
talk
Right.
to them and see if they'd
Yeah.
be interested in doing some cleanup.
And then actually see if you can't get a day set for them so that we could have that dumpster for like a 3-day period or something,
Sure.
right?
I guess I'd rather wait until April 10th, 15th is gonna be a busy time across the road over there.
Right.
So after that would be
That's true.
ideal
Yeah.
for us.
Whatever works best for them, I think,
Yeah,
is fine.
yeah.
One other thing too to consider, just keep in mind, if you could ask them to take some photos, I know that's one of the things that was in this letter, that they'd like to kind of put a collage together, and
Yeah.
if they could take some pictures, that would be great.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Ed? Anything on the Rice Sportsman, or you want to leave that alone?
I don't know. I
Okay.
couldn't tell you. They may they may pick up the dumpster. They've got ample funds to do that.
So, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, that brings a good point. Maybe you could reach out to the Rice Sportsman's Club for a donation for the dumpster. And then Jeff can get the Boy Scouts troop.
That'd be great. That work, Ed?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Schlangen.
What about in the St. Cloud area? Maybe the Boys and Girls Club or something,
You want to reach out to him?
reach out to them? And if we could have a day set apart and then kind of split up the areas, so whatever, we need to figure out where we can't go in, but the areas that you can get into to get down to the river, if we could have a crew just cover the whole river that day and get it all done.
Well,
There's a lot of public property though.
Yeah.
In your area.
I think-
Public pro-
Wilson Park, I think
Yeah,
of
we
that
have
one,
Wilson
yeah.
Park.
I think the main focus, when I talked to Commissioner Persky, was that for residents, it was more about the residents than it was about some of the other stuff. They want the residents to clean up more than having somebody come in and do it.
Or could we get the bags to the residents and then they could just put them out to be picked up?
Ouch.
Well, we won't, we can't hire somebody to pick them up.
No.
We could muster that, they can have lots of.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Could you imagine this?
Yeah, house
Strip from,
cleaning
uh,
exercise.
Sanitation groups?
I mean,
10-mile strip all the way down the river of bags?
We usually does like the ditch cleaning along the roads and stuff. They get the bags and
People
somebody comes along and
sponsor.
picks them up.
Well, Adopt a Highway does
That's
that, the
Adopt.
county picks that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That kind, we're adopting the river,
I'm not
have them
adopting a
pick them
river.
up.
I think if, you know, in this instance, you're gonna have to have a dumpster sitting somewhere, and it's gonna be up to the residents to bring the stuff
Yeah.
to the dumpster.
Okay, so then we could just notify them that, maybe get them the bags and then just tell them where to dispose of it at.
I don't know if we can get them bags or not.
I think sort of a more central location would really be want to have town hall parking.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, obviously the park's way north.
Mm-hmm.
But we could use our park too. So.
Yeah, but if we use our parks, we're gonna have a lot more. It'll be filled quickly. Yeah, it'll be filled, filled very quickly.
I would think with our Adopt a Highway program though, I mean, typically we have a section and you go to the county and you pick up the orange bags.
Yep, and then
And
they,
then,
So that brings another question, Mark. You guys got a lot of orange bags out there?
We have some, I think. I'm not sure what quantity we have. But yeah, we do.
yeah,
have
cause it would take a lot.
Oh,
yeah,
if you're
But it would
gonna
be
do the
nice to
whole
get it cleaned
stretch
up.
from Rice all the way to East St. Cloud,
Yeah.
holy buckets. Oh,
I think this is just a pilot program.
Yeah,
It is.
it's
It
not.
I think we gotta tune in on
I-
a specific
I-
area.
I think what happened was, I think Commissioner Persky made some noise to Commissioner that's south of the cities, and he said, don't forget about north of, you know, north part of the river, and this is how it come about. They came up with, we're doing it on this day, and can you help? And I
But
think,
it's a good point, Jared, you know, if we start with the Boy Scouts and let's see
Yeah.
what happens here. Before we get too wild.
yeah,
I agree. I think a good starting point is to ask the scouts to clean up our park.
Yep.
Maybe put a dumpster out and publicize its availability.
Yeah,
And maybe that's a good start.
and just
Yeah.
see what happens.
That's a good start. Start modestly.
yeah.
and I can check with the Boys and Girls Club and see what they wanna do in St. Cloud.
You know, as long as they got a transportation to get it to the dumpster,
that's right.
that'd be the
Yeah.
only thing they're gonna have.
We
to-
can't pick it up.
We're not gonna pick it up, so they would have to have
A dump,
transportation.
we need to figure out a dump site.
We just
We
did,
just did.
at Benton River. Have a dumpster there.
Wilson Park.
No.
No.
The sportsman's club about a donation.
I'll see if I can
Yep.
get that done.
Cover the dumpster costs.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, we'll find out how much it's gonna cost to get one there for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna turn over to the Human Services Board Chair, Commissioner Heinen.
All right, we'll call it order, the Human Services Board. Approve or amend the agenda. Bob, do you have anything to add?
I would like to pull one item that probably shouldn't have been on the agenda item in the first place, so we'll pull that one. It's item number 2. That's not ready for approval yet.
Anything else, Bob?
No.
What would you like to do with 1, 3, 4, and 5?
I'll move approval of items 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Now I'm gonna call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Okay, Bob, consider the request to recruit for an open position using 2 job descriptions to increase pool of candidates.
Yes, the idea there is that we have a registered nurse position that's going to be open in June. And what we've experienced in the past is it's been hard to fill a registered nurse position. And we would like to open that up for 2 possible positions that would be able to do some of the duplication of positions between them. And in the process, we would widen our pool of applicants. And either way, one is a a grade 8, the other's a grade 9. We have funds to cover either in reimbursements. So it's not an issue of whether or not we have the funds. It's more an idea that we want to try to draw any person that fits either of the criteria in. And we will, first and foremost, we would like to hire for the registered nurse position, but if we can't, we'd like to hire either. So I would ask that the board approve us to have that flexibility with the idea that the funds would be covered either way.
Commissioner Pop,
So if the funds have a chance of going away, or the fund's gonna be there for quite some time?
No, it's the local public health grant, which is,
Okay, year after year?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's been ongoing. Any other questions on this?
I'll take a question. With the, 2-year RN, it's good to have the public health nurses that has that training for the, how to work with the public health. And if the RN has had extra experience in that area, would be greatly helpful, but I would prefer to have the public health nurse over just a new grad hasn't had that experience.
Well, chances are, you are correct in that one is more desirable than the other. The chances are that we attract that person you're talking about is probably higher than the actual registered nurse. So I think that the problem is a registered nurse elsewhere can get quite a bit more than what we would pay. But the other position, the public health nurse, is more of a specific classroom process, if you will. And I think that would be something where it would fit the county, what we're looking for closer than the registered nurse, although we take either.
I agree that we should be looking for either or, but it's a good starting point to try to get at least one.
It gives us more flexibility with a private health nurse. So, along with what you were saying there, it gives us a better, more flexibility, and that person can do more. So, you know what, it's one of those cases where we'll take either.
Yeah, especially at this day and age. Board, what do you want to do with this? I'll make a motion to approve the request to recruit for both positions simultaneously, but only hire one person.
I'll second that. I got a question then.
Commissioner
Sure.
Kapinski.
What are you looking for time frame on filling these, or filling this? I mean, what's the timeline you're on? X amount of time to advertise, review, and hire?
Well, the person that is retiring gave us ample time, gave us 3 months to try and fill this position. We'd like to fill it within a month or 2 weeks of her leaving. So at that point in time, there's a lot of specifics to that position that we would love to have the opportunity to train. So our intent is to, it's probably gonna take 6 weeks to hire somebody, and at that point in time, it puts us at the end of probably middle May, and she leaves at the beginning of June, so ideally, sometime mid-May.
Okay. My concern there is people applying for positions, we need to move these along if there's a good candidate out there, because people just aren't gonna sit around and wait for a month and a half to get hired. You know, that's where I was going with this, is we need to figure out a speedy way of bringing these candidates in and hiring on them, because it's just, I knew if I was looking for a job, I wouldn't wait a month and a half to get it.
Yeah,
Offer.
unfortunately, by the time we post it for 2 weeks, we do the interview process, and then they give 2 weeks' notice. That's that 6-week period. And that's something that if we streamlined it as much as we could, we might cut it down to 5 weeks or something. But we're kind of stuck on that posting, interviewing, and
Hiring.
So you think, in your opinion, 2 weeks of advertising, basically, you know, a week of interviewing, and you would be able to put an offer out there?
Yes.
That's pretty good, in my opinion.
Can I do a friendly amendment?
You got a question?
Yes. I would also like to see, I wouldn't want to see a 2-year grad come right out of school and be pushed into that, going to that position. I would like them to have at least some experience with the public health nurse, so they know what is involved.
Unfortunately, we don't often have that opportunity. It is a situation where if we have somebody that applies and they meet the minimum qualifications, then at that point in time, we really have to interview them, and if they impress us in the interview process, the qualifications or the credentials are one thing, but when we go through the interview process and we find out that they're green or they're not ready for this, then we don't have to do it.
Right.
But that just qualifies them for an interview.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions for Bob on this matter?
Mr. Chair, call the question, please.
Wow, okay. I'm just in case somebody has another question. Okay, we got a motion and a second on this. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Anything else, Bob, in front of us?
unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Bob? Thank you, Bob. We're adjourned at 9:47. I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Heinen. All right, we're gonna move into our next item on our regular agenda here, appointing 2 county board members on the county engineer selection committee. Monty.
Recruitment is underway. It's been posted for a couple of weeks now for the county engineer position. I believe we plan to do our first review of applicants April 3rd or April 6th, somewhere in there. So we'd invite the board to select 2 members to participate on a selection committee. In addition to 2 board members, I think that would include myself, our HR director, and I think we'd also like to invite an external party, either a current county engineer somewhere, or maybe someone from MnDOT state aid office to be a participant in our selection process. So it's usually in the past, I think with the private head positions, we try to invite someone from the outside to bring that perspective, their technical knowledge to the process to help us evaluate applicants. So
Okay, members, what's your thoughts?
I would like to be on that committee.
I would like to be on that committee as well.
Okay.
Scott? I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, you want to be on it too?
Well, I think what's important to me is that we have one rural, one urban commissioner on this committee is my only thought.
I totally agree. We gotta, 90% of the work goes in our 2 districts.
I realize that.
And I think it's important that one of either me or Scott is on there, and I prefer, Commissioner Johnson.
Monty, how much time do we have before we make this decision so that Commissioner Gopinski and I can have a conversation about this?
you have to make the decision today. That's
Okay.
fine. Again, the first
Table?
review of applicants will be around April 6th. So there's time.
Oh,
Is the
Mr.
first
Chair?
meeting in April, is the first meeting in April is the 4th?
Fourth.
Yeah.
So you could make this decision on the 4th if you'd like.
Mr. Chair, I move to table this till the 4th,
Okay.
April 4th meeting.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table. All those in
Sounds
favor?
good. We'll bring it back on the 4th.
Bring it back on the 4th. Thank
Thank
you. All right, we're gonna move into consider resolution to affirm participation in a national settlement with supply chain distributors of opioids.
The opioid settlement seems to be coming at us in waves. The first wave was the manufacturers. And this wave is the distributors. So, like for example, Walgreens. So apparently, you initially had settlements with manufacturers, and now there have been settlements with distributors. And the resolution in your packet was prepared for us by AMC. As you know, AMC has been very much in a lead role in negotiating settlements and helping counties along the way through the process to provide resolutions and guidance as we certify our willingness to participate in this settlement. Up on your screen, I have, this was actually a spreadsheet that was prepared at my request by a person at AMC. And she did a nice job of trying to pull together all the various settlements that she knows of so far. And starting out here it started out in 22 and then moving actually all the way into 2000, I believe the last year is like 2038. So this is spread out it gets kind of complicated because not every settlement has the same time period, apparently. But probably what's important here is the numbers at the end. And these are, I would say these numbers are somewhat tentative at this point because there could be some revisions depending upon how many counties participate. But this is an estimate that we have now from AMC. So we've already received the certification on the manufacturer number. today is the distributor number, that's 732, and then there's your grand total. So roughly about 2.2 million between now and 2038 is what we would expect to receive through this opioid settlement. So the board has already adopted a resolution regarding the manufacturers. Today is a resolution regarding the distributors. And if the board approves this resolution, then I need to go into a website and click some buttons and certify our willingness to participate. And again, the resolution that you have before you was graciously prepared by AMC for its member counties.
All right, commissioners, any questions? What do you like to do?
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Schlangen?
With the, did they do anything about the prescribers during this lawsuit?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I don't have the answer to that question. I'll pose that to AMC. You mean like physicians and I'm sorry, I'm not aware of any settlements regarding physicians. At this point, it's just distributors and manufacturers.
Any other questions? What would you like to do?
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we sign the resolution for the distributors part of the EMC opioid settlement.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second for that approval. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Move on to the next item.
Employee
Discussion on
retention
employee
strategies.
surveys and employee retention strategies, Monty.
So, the management team, which consists of department heads and other supervisors, has considered a proposal from a company called Employee Strategies to conduct surveys of our employees and also then help us develop strategies to address challenges we're facing with employee retention. Again, we first learned about this company through AMC. Julie Ring was my contact there, and they have used this company. And apparently, this company has done work with many other public sector entities in Minnesota. So they made a presentation to our management team a couple of months ago. And I asked our management team to think about it quite carefully for about a month. Because this project will involve a substantial time commitment on their part. It's somewhat intensive where you do the surveys and they work with you over a fairly short period of time then to develop these strategies. Another reason why I wanted departments to think about it is because, you know, you may hear some pretty tough commentary that comes out of these surveys. And you need to be ready for that and, you know, and respond to it. Because sometimes with these surveys, it isn't always the most complimentary comments that you hear. But this is probably the way I look at it. You know, you may kind of get some of the negative stuff, but there can be some real nuggets of knowledge and feedback in there that could be really useful to you. So you can't get too caught up in some of the negative stuff. Again, it was the management team wholeheartedly recommends the board have this engagement with this company. You can see certainly not an inexpensive endeavor, $15,000. I guess I would look at it this way, Mr. Chair. You know, as you all know, many employers are facing significant challenges with recruitment and retention. And I think many people would agree that doing nothing really isn't acceptable. In other words, you know, you try and pay the best salaries you can and best benefits, but that's really all you do. You do nothing else. And I think that would be a mistake. I think we really need to explore what are the drivers behind retention. You know, why people stay, why do people leave? Let's really get into that and see if we can develop some strategies to address it. So I think that it's well worth the investment, Mr. Chair. The resources could come from our training budget. We have about $25,000 that's set aside annually in a training budget. Last year we used that. We sent a bunch of people off to the resource extension supervisory training program. I would suggest this year we would hold off on that and instead use the resources for this project.
All right, members, any questions?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I think we have to do whatever we can at this point in time to try to retain all of our employees. And if that means working into a contract with these people, I am willing to do that. And that would be my motion to approve an agreement with the employee strategies.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion, Commissioner Kapinski?
Mr. Chair, Monty, one of the things you have brought up is about the negative feedback and everything. I think we need to be ready to appreciate the feedback and be willing to do something about it too. Because if people are gonna put themselves out there to give this feedback, I think we as a board and as management need to be able to look at this feedback and be able to act on it, especially if it's reoccurring in a lot of people's comments and stuff like that. So we can't be scared of the feedback. We need to be able to be reasonable and react to it.
Yep, I totally agree with you.
Good point. Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried.
And just one last thought on it is I need now to work with the management team to identify, okay, folks, what's the best time frame for us collectively to do this? You know, because some departments, you know, it's really super busy certain times of the year and they just could not devote the time. So we're gonna try and find the time over the next 6 months to dive into this, so.
Thank you.
The next is the Benton River, Park Forestry Management, and I'd like to invite Jeff to come on up and tell you about this one.
Morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the agreement that, is brought before you today is, for, the thinning of, and removing of some, trees out at Benton River on the east side. Last fall, I think we all went out there and kinda talked with Bob Perleyberg, the forester that we had hired to go out there and get his feedback on what he see need to be done and stuff out there. And today, he has gone and selected, Hannon Enterprises as far as, doing the logging, thinning the trees out there. And, we're just looking today to sign that contract and, hopefully tentatively look at, April 10th as the earliest start date of when we'd, start doing the harvest removal out there.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I know I read through all of this, but what's the time frame of how long he thinks that's gonna take? A week? 4 days?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Roughly. Depending on the weather, depending on, you know, a lot of other factors, how much snow is gonna be left out there and stuff like that.
Any other questions?
Can I just add a couple things, Mr. Chair? As you may have noted, an agenda item is Mr. Perleyberg estimates we would get about $39,000 payment from the logger for the value of the wood, and his his fee would be 13% of that amount, so about a net of $34,000. And our hope is that those resources can be put into the park CIP fund and used for the next step, which actually is the stump removal and reseeding areas where trees are removed to native prairie. So that's kind of the next step would be bringing some agreement to you on the stump removal.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Yeah,
Commissioner
Mr.
Heinen?
Chair, I guess the only thing that they do their own cleanup too, right?
They do not. I mean, they remove the trees, they
put everything on a pile, and then what do we do with that?
well, for the most part, in the parts where we're thinning, we just leave that stuff pretty much there and it goes as mulch pretty much. But we do have to get some cleanup done in the where we're doing a full 3 tree row windrow removals. Then it would require us pulling the stumps, piling the debris up, and then getting the stumps hauled out of there and cleaned up and flattening the ground out so that we can move on to ideally doing some kind of controlled burn or something out there, getting rid of the buckthorn that's out of control out there and moving back into a native grass and stuff like that.
Commissioner Pop.
Jeff, so, is Bob gonna take care of some of that stuff for us too?
Bob will be doing the overseeing of most of it. We do have a current contract with Native Landscaping Company, or
Right.
not a
We have
contract, but agreement.
There's a prairie management agreement with Minnesota Native Landscapes, right, to harvest the seed, do controlled burns occasionally. Yeah, so we should have the sufficient seed to seed it, just you need their labor to do it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and that, You know, from what I know from when removing trees is that they can't come in and seed that within the next couple of years because the acidic in that ground is, nothing's gonna grow.
We'll rely on professionals, right, to
Yeah.
make that call.
Right,
yeah.
well, I mean, sometimes professionals wanna get it done so they can get paid. Just beware.
I just want to mention, there is going to be a fair amount of brush, and we're going to explore chipping that. I'm not in favor of a brush fire, so we're going to explore chipping that and grinding it rather than.
One more thing, there is somebody that is interested in that stuff. Did you get a call from somebody that was interested in mulching that, the product that's left?
I've gotten a phone call from a gentleman up by Little Falls. Is that the one you're referring to?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
He was gonna work with Saldana as far as
Yep.
putting a bid together as far as removing the stumps and moving them offsite and chipping them and stuff like that, so.
And he operates a mulching deal or a mulching company, so, you know, so that may be one of the options to get rid of it.
So if I heard you right, Monty, that in the future, we're gonna see something come forward for a stump removal.
Right, yeah, stump removal, and ideally, of course, it'd be great if someone would come in and they could chip the brush and they can have the material, because we just want it gone.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all, we just want it gone, so. Yes, so Jeff's gonna explore that.
Yeah, ideally to get the stumps out of there sooner than later would be, we're gonna have it closed, we're gonna have that side of the park closed off to the public for a number of weeks already. It'd be nice to get in there and get them stumps out of there right away and get it leveled out. Sooner than later, instead of having to close it again and do all that stuff again.
All right.
Probably can get in there in July sometime with the weather, huh?
Well, it's all sand out there, so that's in our favor.
Oh, we got sand.
sand.
Oh, it must be out by Rice.
Up there in God's country.
Yeah, the God's country, eh?
I believe we have a
Right,
motion.
we anticipate, probably some people may be a little, taken aback by what they see happening out there. And we're gonna send out a news release, and I'm gonna send it to Watet Township, City of Rice, and hopefully the word will get around. Here's what's happening. We're selectively thinning to improve the health of the remaining forest. It's not clear cutting, and all, so hopefully folks will hear that message.
Of course, you can
and-
highlight Commissioner Pop's cell number in that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Put his cell phone number in the news release.
Go ahead.
Home address.
They probably already know it.
They already
You get
know
that,
it.
Tim?
We had a couple of negative comments at the WATAB annual meeting. That,
Yeah.
that why are you doing that? And I think the anticipation was that we're gonna take more than, and you were right, use the word health. It's for the health, if you're gonna say
Improve the
thinning-
health of what remains.
Right.
That's right,
That seems to be the big selling point.
You know, folks will appreciate too is that actually we should get about $35,000 net out of
Yeah.
this. So it's not gonna cost the county any resources to do this.
Except removing the stumps.
Yep, yeah.
That'll be a.
And
a
the people that are
expense
gonna
there.
use the stumps are gonna have revenue too.
We don't know that yet.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? I believe we have a motion and a second on the floor. We've been talking about this so long, but
Actually, we don't have.
do we have one?
I'll move it.
All right, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Kapinski, is there a second?
Second it.
And then Commissioner Pop on the second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Okay.
Opposed? It's carried. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, Roxanne.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners,
Good
Mr.
morning.
Chair.
Good morning. So we're gonna do a public hearing today on a fee schedule update.
Yes.
And just briefly, that was in regards to the $100.
Correct. So the first item that you have is for an update to the fee schedule, and it adds a $100 application fee for the Ag BMP septic loan application.
All right, so with that, we're gonna move into a public hearing to consider that fee. We did hear county staff report on that, so if there's anyone here that would like to speak in favor or oppose this fee, if they could please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Anyone that would like to speak in regards to that fee? Final call on that. Anyone that'd like to speak? Roxanne, was there any emails, letters, or other communications to be read in the record?
No.
Thank you. And has the department received any comments or concerns from state agencies, cities, or townships on this item?
No.
Thank you. Was there any official action required by a township on this item?
No.
And thank you. County Board will have time now for staff discussion, and as a reminder, the audience, the public hearing portion is closed. Any questions from board members? Any questions?
Been on this a long time.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion to approve that change?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to update the Benton County fee schedule in regards to this change to that fee, $100 fee. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Roxanne will move into considering the resolution adopting the Ag BMP loan terms and lien agreement for Eagle View Commons Community Septic Repair Replacement.
All right. Okay, so we've obviously been talking about this for some time now, probably over a year. And this is the Ag BMP loan terms and lien agreement for Eagle View Commons Community Septic Repair and Replacement. So the county board must set the terms of the loan in accordance with Minnesota Statute 17.117 subdivision 11. The Minnesota Department of Ag allows for the county to set terms at a length not to exceed 10 years or an interest rate of 3% per year. And that's the maximum that the county board can set. It's not that is the absolute number that must be in place. With that, the county board, the county does receive this loan at a 0% interest, but it must be repaid within 10 years to the Minnesota Department of Ag. So there is no cost to us to take out this loan through the Department of Ag, but there is a cost involved in the sense of staff time in relation to preparing these documents, working with the homeowners, and making sure that this project gets completed in accordance with the plans and the loan terms. And so what you have before you is a memo from me that outlines what the county can charge, and then additionally, some of the staff time that's already gone into this, and some of it that we are uncertain about yet. I just want to state that the statute states that the county can charge fees that are in compliance with normal and customary practices of the lender. The fees are in accordance with published fees, the published fee schedule. The fees are not based on participation in the ag loan program, and the fees are consistent with fees charged for similar types of loans that are offered by the lender. So, and that goes into the application that we just adopted, the application fee. So that's really the one fee that we are adopting in accordance with this, other than the terms of the loan. And then other fees that will are set by schedule are the recording of such documents. But statute does not dictate how the interest of the proceeds must be used. That interest becomes the property of the lender. So there's no, nothing in statute says that it needs to be used for a certain program or in a certain way. It's just that it becomes the property of the county. I do know that some counties use the interest that is earned on that, and they create revolving loan funds, which help develop their own septic loan replacement program. But furthermore, I want to outline on the second page of my memo there's a number of bullet points where I point out the number of hours that we've already invested in this. And this does not include just developing the program, because the program is benefiting more than Eagle View Commons. There's a good chance that it would benefit others in the future as well. So deducting out the time that I've spent drafting all of these documents, I've already spent many hours. And I want to state that I think part of it is due to the county is sort of, there's an expectation from the county that there's going to be a little more involvement with the homeowners than, say, a lender, a bank. We're going to be expected to know a little bit more about the process, about septics, the involvement. So there's more of that hand-holding that happens. And so we do spend and have spent considerable time working through this program. And we still don't know what that will entail as far as the number of hours that will be invested in this from staff's perspective, because we haven't even issued out the applications yet, and there's a whole septic system that needs to be replaced. So I would say there's still considerable amount of time that needs to be put into this program. And just for note, this is a county providing an optional program and asking staff to add it to services that we are required to provide. So this is not something that the county's required to do. It's in addition to all of our other statutory duties. So if there's any questions on that, I did lay out, and maybe I should just quickly address the letter that we received from Eagle View Commons. And it's great to see the numbers there, so that the board can see exactly what those loan payments look like for the constituents. But I just want to address that back in 2022, March of 2022, we were in the real infancy stages of developing this program, and we were strictly looking at the Clean Water Partnership Program. At that time, the Ag BMP loan was not even being taken into consideration at that time. The Clean Water Loan Program had a maximum interest of 1.5%, whereas the Ag BMP loan has a 3% maximum interest. And so that was not even a discussion point at that time. At the committee of the whole level, the board is not authorized to make decisions on loan terms and things like that. So I know that there was, and based on the minutes, there was no discussion on exactly what those loan terms would be. And that's pretty clear in the minutes. So I don't think there was any loan servicing decisions that were made at that time a year ago. So I do have the resolution for you. And I want to say this resolution right now is really fluid, and I do plan to amend it based on the decisions that are made today. Because there's we need to make a decision on the rate, the terms of the years, and then let's see, the transferable lien, if we want to make sure, allow it to be a transferable lien. And I think that is all of the options that need to be discussed with that.
Members, if it's okay with you, and before we move into discussion on that, I'd just like to recognize Corey is here. I'd give you a couple minutes if you want to just refer briefly to your letter or have any comments. I think it's all pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I have no questions or comments on it. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not the, last one at the table on this.
Sure.
To kind of give you, I appreciate everything Roxanne does.
Yep.
I just wanted to kind of represent our group of people.
Yep.
See if that letter helps. If
Yep.
not,
Thank you for submitting the letter too, by the way, so thank you. Okay, so Roxanne, are we ready to move on some stuff then, or what's your thought? Are you done with your report?
If you have any questions for me, otherwise we can discuss the aspects of the resolution.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I just got one question. Just for the record, can you just kind of, just a brief overview of the hours, the total that you were referencing? Just for people that are listening or.
So I did not come up with a total
Okay.
number of hours, but more than 40 hours have been spent coordinating with the HOA on how to get residents on board, determining what is covered by the Ag BMP loan, requesting up-to-date estimates, researching how other counties or banks fund such projects, assisting the HOA with addressing undeveloped lots, etc. And then in addition to that, we've been working with the Department of Ag, the SWCD. That's 3 to 5 hours so far, and that's going to increase significantly once we do get into the program. With that, discussions with the board on the loan terms. Things that I won't know is how long it's going to take me to work with the Department of Ag in preparing the applications for them. So with this project, with the Department of Ag's project, I have to separately apply for 39 or 40, depending on the number of lots. I have to apply separately for each one of those to receive funds. And that may need to happen twice because this project is such a significant cost that the contractor may need funds up front, and then so one payment for design and then a second payment for completion of the project. And normally the Department of Ag doesn't do that. So I would need to submit 2 different applications. We'd need to talk about amending lien agreements. There's a number of aspects that I don't know what to expect for the amount of time to be spent on this.
Thank you for that. The reason I was asking is it kind of goes into what we have to try and do for the interest of the loan.
I guess one of the concerns I have is that and it's very hard to answer, we won't be making any interest on the money if, 50% of the homeowners want to pay this off instantly. Then we're not gonna get any payment on interest, and your time will be for
free.
For free.
Free,
Yeah, very good point.
So I don't know how we address that, because I don't think the homeowners probably would agree that it should be for, free. But we need maybe some kind of a backing or guarantee. I mean, I don't know,
A stipend.
It is
or-
a significant cost. I mean, we're talking $11,000 to $12,000 per property owner. I'm guessing that a significant
Right,
number of them won't be paying it off immediately.
And considering what interest rates are.
Yeah.
Today, they probably won't be paying it off, but, I mean, if 10 out of the 40 would pay it off, that would significantly reduce our income.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Pence.
I think, in my opinion, I think if it's in the range that we've been kind of discussing, I don't think anybody's gonna pay it off, because you can't.
No, I
borrow
really
money.
wouldn't think so, unless they got cash laying around.
Yeah, well, even then, it's been better off in the market.
Mr. Chair, the only concern I have is that we recoup all of our time that we're spending on.
Correct.
Right,
That's all I care
that's all
about.
I ask for too.
And how do we determine that? We don't know.
We don't have any way to really determine that we will recoup all of our time that we spent on it. I mean, we got it on paper that says we should, but there's no guarantees. So I don't know.
Any
if
other
we-
comments, questions for staff? All right, do you wanna, go through these one by one, or do you wanna combine them all together, or what's your thoughts, Roxanne?
It may be appropriate to go item by item,
Okay,
make sure there's consensus and then do the resolution as a whole at the end. And I'll make the amendments and get it to Beth so that you're signing the appropriate resolution.
okay, so you wanna tackle interest rates first?
Sure.
Okay, you've seen a schedule, I mean, Corey's letter pretty much lays it out, so. If you wanna have some discussion on that. I can tell you that I'm probably in that 1.5% range. I'm struggling with this, I wanna cover our costs, but we're also not in the business to make money, so we've gotta figure out how we can streamline our costs and yet be
So,
fair.
Mr. Chair, I got a question. Maybe this would be for Michelle, who's not on right now, but is there a way of putting an interest rate out there, tracking all the money that comes in over the net? Let's just say it's 10 years. Then if there is a excess that comes in, then we go ahead and divide that back out based on payments?
My concern with that is you may have property owners that change.
True. Good point.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner
Heinen.
Gopinski, did you run the numbers on your computer?
Well, I've been trying to run the numbers on.
He's our number guy.
On the payments and what we would get. The thing that I'm running short on is even if you factor in, 80 hours at $125 an hour, it's getting up there, and I don't think that 1.5% covers that. Cause we're already at 40 hours of what you had stated. That's without Michelle too, right?
Without Michelle? Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't account for her time specifically, but she's been very involved in it,
Yeah.
yes.
So are you feeling that the 1.5 that's showing there, those dollars would not cover, is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm afraid of because if we have to start doing two applications per household because of the down payments and everything, we could be in a little bit of a, at the end of the day, we also gotta try and help the residents out too. I get it, but I just don't wanna go backwards a lot on it.
I think we all agree 3% is too much. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll just throw that out there right now. I mean, we've already agreed as a committee of the whole that, we're not gonna charge 3%. The real question is it 1.5% or 2%, and what's gonna cover our costs? And that's something we're not gonna know.
I myself, I'm at 2. I think that's still very cheap money and addresses a major problem.
Okay. Anybody else?
I would probably have to agree with the 2%. I am torn with this, just like you, Commissioner Johnson. But at the end of the day, we gotta recoup our costs somehow, some way. And I wish, I hope it doesn't go above and beyond that. But I would like the opportunity to return it, but we won't have that opportunity.
And I, Commissioner Pop, I appreciate your comment. I can live with 2%, thinking through the process of people paying it off. That makes sense. I don't know that a lot will, but it is possible.
Oh, I think 2% will more than cover our cost. Because I agree with what Mr. Gavinsky said, they're not gonna pay it off. I mean, I guess unless they got cash just burning a hole in their pocket, they're probably not gonna pay it off and don't wanna pay the interest.
Well, how about
What-
this then, unless you get something else?
I said, 1.5 may be questionable, 2 seems to me like maybe a little much.
Well, then let's compromise and go to 1 3/4.
1.75? Yeah, I'd be willing to
Okay,
do
with that, I'm gonna make a motion to move at 1.75%.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried at 1.75. Next, please, Roxanne.
Okay, so the next is whether the property owner shall have the ability to transfer the lien upon sale of the property.
Is that a normal Mr. Chair, is
Commissioner
that a
Heinen.
normal process that is allowable?
It is allowable.
It is.
Generally speaking, it's something that's paid off. Special
At the
assessments are
sale.
generally paid off.
Right.
But we do have the ability to allow for it. Again, it's one of those things that's gonna take staff time, to allow for, because we're gonna have to draft new lien agreements and make sure that they're transferred to the next, property owner.
That gets messy.
Mr. Chair, this is where I see the loans getting paid off early, because if it's let's just say they're down to $7,000 to be paid off,
Just gonna
it's
do it at closing.
messier to try and do this through a closing. So I see it being paid off at that point.
Correct.
So to not allow it to be transferable? Is that what
I
you're
think we should allow it to be transferable, but I think we gotta be honest, I think the people who are selling the houses and the people coming into them are not gonna wanna deal with that. And that's gonna be one of the,
Agreements.
agreements
Closing.
in closing, that's paid off.
So we're not going to allow them to transfer.
Well, I think if we allow them, they can work through that and they can pay or they can do the extra work on that. That doesn't include us. We give them that option, but I think at the end of the day, they're gonna say, no, we don't wanna have a lien on the house. Cause once they have a lien on the house, there's a lot of things that go along with that too.
I understand, but what I'm confused about is if we allow, then we are gonna create staff time to create the liens. So my thinking is, we don't allow it, they come up with it at closing and they pay it off, and then we're covered. We don't have to deal with,
Mr. Chair, that is standard practice.
I think,
It is,
That
but
is standard practice, and I would have to agree with you, because we don't need to try to have more of our time involved in this if we don't have to.
as long as we're not eliminating some buyers from them, we don't know where the times are going here, and we could be, maybe 7,000 or 8,000 is too much more to put on a loan for, the bank's gonna say, no, we can't put that much more on the loan, we could eliminate a sale from somebody.
I think that's up to the realtors and the bankers, not us,
Well, we gotta give them the
to
option.
determine that.
and I think that's a fine line, because we've
It
gotta
is.
make sure that this way we get paid.
Yeah, that's true.
Mr. Chair,
We get paid.
is there a chance that Corey might wanna, I mean, I know it's not his decision, but
Yeah,
maybe
I'm open
they're,
to that. Corey, any comment on that quickly?
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I was anticipating as a homeowner that I would pay it off and not be transferable. However, we did have an all-member meeting, and I did hear some real estate agents within our group. They had mentioned that there was some benefits to having the ability to transfer this, and that they may not see it as a appreciable thing for like themselves, like the new owner is going to appreciate the system that they wouldn't. So depending on the time of the sale, say if we sell as soon as we get it fixed, then I would basically not take advantage of that new system. The new person would. So it's kind of
I
a
see.
gray
Yeah.
area.
I see his point.
Yep.
Michelle, I see you've joined us. We were just talking about this transfer of lien. I don't know if you were listening or not, but do you have an opinion on that you'd like to share with us?
You know, honestly, it's your decision, whether you want to allow it or not. Roxanne and I have discussed this. Hopefully, if they are seeking and getting a mortgage, then at that point, you know, they would be credit worthy from our perspective.
Michelle, I see you joined us. We were just talking about this transfer lien. I don't know if you were listening or not. Do you have an opinion on that you'd like to share with us?
A little behind.
Little,
She must have the YouTube up as well.
yeah.
I'm trying to shut
That was
up.
an instant replay.
That was.
Yeah.
Well, she told us it's our decision, so what would you like to do? I'm kinda in the camp of we do not allow the transfer, but that's my opinion.
Mr. Chair, and I share the same opinion. I just do.
And I don't.
Otherwise we're putting more time on our staff too.
I know,
I agree with both sides. That's, if that is an offense player. But, I do your point, I hear you guys' point about capping our staff time. That's a positive, because I think it's gonna alleviate if people pay it off early, so.
Mr. Pop.
so I don't know if Corey has anything on that. In the last 5 years, how many houses were sold in there?
There's been quite a few turnover over
And there
the
has
last
been.
few years, yeah. But I was just thinking, is there a way that we could just draft that into the, application that basically upon sale, if you do wanna transfer it, then you have to pay the, what do you call it? Your
County's
application
costs.
fees, the county's costs.
The assessment?
Meaning staff time, is that what you're?
Yeah.
I don't know that we'll know what that is, though.
Yeah,
we
I
could
mean,
put
they're
in a
gonna pay the
fixed number.
recording fees for that.
Again, from my perspective, I mean, we offered a 1.75 rate. We're trying to keep our staff time down.
Yeah.
Let's not allow the transfer of the lien and be done and clean. That's, again, my opinion.
Is that a motion?
It is a motion.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any other discussion on the transfer of the lien? To not allow the transfer of the lien? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, got that, Beth?
Okay, and then the
That's
last is the terms of the loan, so 10 years is what we had. I just figure as long as we're here, let's make sure that that's solid as well.
And I'll move for a 10-year term.
Yep.
I'll second.
Yep.
Okay, motion is second on the 10-year term. Any other discussion on the term? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried.
Okay, so then I think act completely on the resolution. So we have a 10-year term, 1.5% interest. and
1 3/4.
Or excuse me, 1 3/4, I have that written down. And then the loan shall become immediately due and payable in full upon sale, conveyance, or other transfer of the property.
So moved.
Yep, second.
Any other discussion on that resolution?
Call the question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
Yep, thanks.
Good luck.
Yep, good
Yeah.
luck to you. All right, Roxanne, Pope Douglas solid waste application.
Okay, so on Friday, I received an email from Tri-County letting me know that they would like this resolution presented to each individual county board. And so the resolution is for funding for capital assistance program. It's for phase 2 of the Pope Douglas Solid Waste Management project to retrofit and expand the existing waste diversion and recycling processing facility. And we do have Nathan here, so he is willing to present to you more about this.
Okay, thank you. Nathan, please come to the podium.
Do you want me to pull up that presentation? Sure. Okay.
Good leader. Thank you.
make it.
F5.
There it is.
Yeah.
Moved it.
Okay,
You're
cool.
set.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Thanks for having me, kind of on last minute notice, like she said. This was originally approved in 2019 by the Tri-County Board, for our CAP projects for the, regional program. And, so we're here today just to, continue that, reiterate that same support. There's been a lot of turnover with commissioners and, legislators, senators and stuff like that. So it's just to kind of reconnect the dots again. So if, a commissioner is kind of called up on or emailed by a, senator or representative, everyone's just kind of on the same page with figuring out, what our plan was, starting in 2019. So yeah, we are in the bonding, we are trying to get into the bonding bill right now. Senate Republicans have pulled all of the projects that were, led by Republican, leads, but our project does have bipartisan support. And, by approving this, this resolution, there are no additional financial liabilities for Benton County. Those are gonna be made, the bonding payments are gonna be made by Pope Douglas. We have a solid waste service fee that we had increased in 2019 to pay for the bonds.
Nathan, could I ask you what that fee is, just for information?
Just for FYI?
Yeah.
Yep. So each member county, meaning Pope and Douglas, it's excuse me, I have a bad cold, $99 a year. And each county saves, retains $1 for processing, and then $98 gets transferred to Pope Douglas.
Okay, thank you.
And Douglas County is our fiscal agent.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else?
I think that's pretty straightforward. Again, there's no fiscal liability for Benton County, and, it's, essentially, it's part of our solid waste plan, kinda like when, with Sierra in the back there, we were all kind of working on our plans all in the same kind of conjunction with the other members, other counties of Tri-County. And so that's pretty much that. This additional, investment in the front end processing facility will decrease our maintenance and increase our, revenue with additional recycling being pulled out from 2.5% out of the raw garbage to 8%. And that will also lead to a decrease, net cost of operations through the Tri-County agreement through 2031 for Tri-County. Commissioner Pop.
That's what I like to hear, is a net decrease in the net cost of
Yeah, no,
operation.
it's hard to not, invest into, existing equipment and stuff for quite some time. So we're kind of getting dug out of that hole, and now we're set for a long time.
All right, members, have any questions for Nathan?
I'll take a question.
Sure.
There was talk about some new bags coming out for, recycling in St. Cloud. Do you know anything about that?
No, we do not accept single sort recycling at the facility at this time. So, yeah, we do.
Sounded like they were gonna do something with compost, I'm not sure.
Oh, like the coal collection bags for like the heavy, like the durable compostable bags?
So they were gonna have less that, try to separate out the waste out from some compostable stuff.
Yeah, like Ramsey, Washington is gonna be rolling their program out, for example, where it's like a durable, much thicker compostable bag. They do not work though if you, if a garbage hauler has like an auger system, they'll just tear them up, you know what I mean? It's kind of a moot point then. But, like Ramsey, Washington, for example, they have a robot that pulls them out of the garbage. It like sees the bag. And we did a pilot, like 3 years ago with, Elbow Lake and Osakis and Glenwood. But we tended to get more diversion from our 9 drop sites that we have in the 2 counties. Cause if people are willing to bring a, stinky bag of, rotting food, to a drop site, they were more apt to, not include other contaminants in it. Not try to sabotage the program in any way, so. But no, that'd be exciting if the St. Cloud, kind of the whole metro area, Waite Park, Sauk Rapids would do something like that. That might be a further discussion for equipment, modifications on the front end, just similar to what Ramsey, Washington's doing. That's kind of exciting, actually, because it's better to get the organics diverted than to try to burn something that's wet or to landfill, organics, just because of the greenhouse gas, emissions and stuff. Yeah.
Any other questions for Nathan? Is there a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution supporting a capital assistance grants application by the Pope Douglas Joint Solid Waste Management Board.
I'll second it. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Thank you for coming today. Yep.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. See, Roxanne, we got through all your items? Yes. All right. Yeah. Jerry, my patiently waiting in the background. When you're ready for the SWCD district presentation for 2022 annual report.
He was stretching back there.
That was patiently waiting, huh?
Welcome.
Thank you. You guys look like you've been through a marathon, you need like a minute break to stand or anything?
Well, we always put you at the end, you know, knowing that you wouldn't take up as much time, right?
Oh, is that what's?
And we always know that you'll massage your report
Yeah.
down, kinda.
I could massage it up today, but
You might get interrupted though if you do that.
Probably.
We'll quit talking and let you have the podium. Thank you.
all right. Well, thanks for having me today. Our annual report, you guys all got a copy of the report.
do.
I
Yep, in
hope
front
you,
of us.
hope you had a chance to look through it.
Very interesting. Well done.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. I'll let our staff know. Yeah, just, when I go through the annual report every year, I never really know how to approach this. We had a few things that were maybe a little bit different this year, or maybe not so much different, but we were strong in certain areas this year. So I think that's what I'll go through this year. And then at the end, maybe I'll just talk a little bit about a project or two that we didn't get to. I want to start with the financials, which, if you go to page 8 of your report, it always amazes me when I look at the financials because we're doing the work day by day and stuff's getting done. And at the end of the year, you look at the total amount of work that you did, and it's pretty amazing. That bar chart at the bottom there, our federal revenue continues to outpace all other sources for projects combined. So if you take the federal, state, and then what the landowners contribute, and we estimate the landowner portion, some of that's not public data. And then the other is a little bit of funding from the Sportsman's Club. We surpassed $2 million again in 2022. So hats off to your citizens that are willing to do that much work in our county. Without them, we get nothing done. So, and if you flip the page over, I know Benton County's board and the staff, everybody here was interested in spurring the economy in Benton County. And a lot of our work, we're hiring local contractors. We're purchasing products that's from Benton County sometimes, not always. So we estimate about half of those funds recirculate throughout the county. So we do have a little bit of an economic engine here that we contribute to the good welfare of Benton County. I've been told that 50%'s on the light side. We did look into that one year and sort of track things. It was a little bit higher than 50% the one year we tracked it, but it's a good round number, so to speak. So we tried to do our part there. Commissioner Pop is involved with One Water, One Plan. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit. We did finish One Water, One Plan in 22 for the Rum River. So that was a multi-year project. And so Ed, thanks for participating in all those meetings. It was nice to get done with the plan part. We received our first allocation of funding in that watershed in 2022, so it's kind of a big milestone. The other thing that happened in 22 related to watershed type planning or water planning is we did, in December, we had our last water plan meeting. Didn't put that in the report, but Commissioner Johnson was at that last meeting, and you guys took the recommendation of that board and dissolved the committee. And so now we've made the full switch to One Water, One Plan. So, yeah, it was, I think 1988, I think, is when that started, looking through some of the notes, so. And then, put it on the page, I'll skip 15 to keep this short. But on page 16, the Mississippi St. Cloud, as you know, started, and, there was a lot of time spent, I think, just getting through the organization process in 2022. It was probably more time than you realize from the SWCD's side. But we were able to get the memorandum of, agreement signed late last year. That was done. We got the grant agreement. Benton SWCD's the fiscal agent. We got everything set up for that. Funds are in our account, got the agreement signed, and then, another big step was the county board. You guys assigned me to the what's called the Technical Advisory Committee, so I'm your representative. When things come up, that affect Benton County, I'll go to your staff. I did that earlier this week to, discuss a topic, so, that was sort of I think just getting past that organization, point took a lot of effort, but, was a big step. Okay, other new activities, if you flip the page over to 17, Reinvest in Minnesota. I wanted to cover this because I'm not sure if, we talked about it on our, most of you were on our tour this year, but not all of us. But Reinvest in Minnesota, it's an easement program, it's done by the state of Minnesota. We had RIM in the 1980s and 1990s that covered the whole county. And then the state went to this watershed sort of scope of work with RIM. So we haven't had easements in our county for years and years and years. But because the Rum River was finishing up the process of One Water, One Plan, the state came through and had just a handful of watersheds they wanted to do RIM in. So the Rum was selected. So we went out and looked for landowners to do easements on their property. So the landowners retain the property. The easement basically is to keep the land from being developed. If you're interested more specifically in the area, you could flip back a couple pages to that watershed map and you'll see a blue line going through the Rum. Those are the areas that were targeted right along the West Branch itself. So yeah, it was a big year. 6 miles of shoreline permanently protected. You hear me come to and do these reports every year. We talk about fixing a lot. This is an activity where we're hoping to avoid problems in the future. So a beautiful part of our county, Granite Ledge Township, and so it's really nice to get that protected. So yeah, banner year there. Just a couple more things. Page 24, you might have questions about that. Little Rock Lake update. We had a state grant that we were finishing up on, and as you know, we did the drawdown a couple years ago. Had a successful drawdown. There's areas we wish we had more plants, so we went out and did some seeding in Little Rock Lake way late in the fall. The staff there and our supervisor and Eric Altena with DNR, they took the seed, put it in little balls of clay or muck from the bottom, tried to shove the seeds in there and just distribute the seeds that way. It's an interesting way to try to seed, but the idea there is to keep the seeds from floating away and give them a chance to get down. So it's done in the fall, the ice comes, you don't have as much wave action, and hopefully by spring the seeds will germinate. So just pointed that out because it's a unique project and something we're trying to keep that lake healthy. Okay, and then I just wanted to point out, again, I am going through things pretty quickly here. It's a pretty comprehensive report. I'd ask you to switch to page 27 if you would. Wetland restorations. Banner year, Nathan Sinuski with our office, he's really got a knack for finding projects and he spent a couple of years working with landowners, and we have a great partnership with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They provide funding, we provide funding, they provide the design work for most of our wetlands, and then we tag team on the installation when they're installed, going out to make sure the contractor understands the plans, that we get compaction and that type of thing. Huge year last year, 27 wetland basins. I can honestly say in all the times I was a technician for the office, which is more than 10 years, I didn't do 27 myself as a technician. They're hard to find. It's hard to find wetlands to restore in our county, but I think I think what we're seeing is more willingness on the part of the landowners and just, good staff getting out there and working with the people. So, yeah, banner year. If you see Nathan in our office, ever pat him on the back. I mean, that's a pretty impressive number there, so. Okay, real quickly, we suffered a little bit in our workload from COVID still, haven't totally recovered. I want to talk just quickly about the project in St. Cloud. We've moved our underground regional treatment system in St. Cloud and unable to get all the supplies for it due to COVID, supply shortage. I think you guys are running into that with different projects, so we've got some large, I think they're concrete box culverts that we're using that couldn't get, so. I just wanted you guys to know that project, was sort of on hold last year but we're planning on moving it forward this spring, so. Yeah, COVID, we just can't quite shake that, can we? Okay, I think that's less than 15 minutes, but the clock's behind me, so.
I'm impressed. I am, Jerry. I'm impressed.
I appreciate the opportunity every year to come and talk to you guys, but I do go through things pretty quickly. Are there any questions on anything I went through, anything I skipped?
While you're here, Jerry, if I could, kudos to you. Thank you for your help in holding my hand on the One Water, One Plan as we move forward. I mean, you do a very good job of keeping me informed and guiding me along this process because it is so new and there's so much information, but I appreciate the updates at the high level stuff that I kind of need to know, and I really appreciate that, so thank you.
Well, you're a good communicator, so you make it easy for Mr. Kowalski.
Mr. Chair, Jerry, thank you for the report. It's a pleasure always seeing what your team does and stuff like that. I know I come from the city part of things, so it definitely shines some light on what you guys do. The other thing I want to thank the two board members, you and your team on the watershed. Commissioner Pop and Commissioner Johnson and everybody involved took a lot of weight off of the rest of the board on figuring this out. There's a lot of meetings and I echo what Commissioner Johnson said. Thank you for all your help on that. So.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I guess I got one question. Do you think the Mississippi St. Cloud will go smoother than the Rum?
Define smoother, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, do you think the process is gonna be so long?
I think it might be a little bit shorter than the Rum because we had COVID in the middle of Rum and it became challenging to really just figure out how to meet and get stuff done remotely.
Yeah.
And so, I think that part of it isn't gonna disrupt us, quite as bad, but yeah, it's still gonna be a pretty long process. Being the fiscal agent allows us to make sure we keep things on track. And so for instance, if somebody wants to have more meetings or expand something out, we can look at the budgetary aspects of it and I think maybe keep things moving along a little bit better.
I'm truly happy that you took that.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
position on.
it's a good thing we're the fiscal agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a good move. I don't know about when we get to implementation, but to keep the process moving and, yeah, we're happy to do it.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah,
also-
thanks.
Also, thank you for being willing to serve with the TAC, because that was, and I know Emily's covering your part at the SWCD, so you got a good partnership there too, so. Any other questions, comments for Jerry? Thank you, Jerry, for the presentation, the great report.
All
I
right,
know
thank you.
It's for me, I started going through it, I'm like, that's a lot of information, so I wanna continue to look at it, cause there's a lot of good stuff in there. So
A lot
thank
of
you.
money, a lot of dollars.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I mean, the dollars that were distributed within the county, if you had all those programs up, it's awesome. We're just looking at the $500,000 for the Rum.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money. That went to landowners for participating. And there was an option, I'm sure, to participate.
Yeah, it's all optional.
It's all optional.
Yeah.
So you get that many dollars going out because they wanna do something. That's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, we took up, I did the math, it's about 17% of the funds of the Rum River watershed came to Benton County, and we don't have 17% of that
Oh, no.
watershed. And that's not a completely fair comparison. There was priority areas
Yeah.
within there, but
Yeah.
it was a pretty good chunk, so.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Yep.
Mr. Lloyd Alt, who's also been patiently waiting. Thank you.
We were on time at one point,
Yeah,
Mr. Chair.
bunch of chatty Cathys.
All right, good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
Have a good day, Jerry. See ya.
It's gonna be a big hole to fill when he's.
Oh, just wanted to bring you an update today. Last week, we did get plans posted for our projects, construction projects for 2023 this summer. So I'll just bring up the 5-year plan. You can find that on our website. The map is here. And so just gonna run through just really quick what we're doing. So we got CASA 1 from 29 all the way up to CASA 2. That and CASA 2 to Silver Corners, CASA 4 from Popple Creek to CASA 1, CASA 15 to County Road 58. Those are all reclaims. We're replacing most of those culverts. We are adding 6-foot paved shoulders on those. So just thought I'd let you know on that. We also have CASA 21 from pretty much the Carco entrance all the way to the county line. That's a reclaim. Will be 2 11-foot driving lanes, a 1-foot paved shoulder. We have County Road 56 from 12 north to county line. That'll be pretty similar, typical to that 21 as well as 62. So that's a 11-foot driving lanes with actually a 1/2-foot paved shoulder, which is what's out there right now. And then last but not least is County Road 62, reclaimed from the county or from State Highway 95 to just before actually 90 Highway 91. MnDOT did that realignment with that road with 23 a few years ago, so we won't be touching that. So those are all reclaims, paves. A lot of the culverts will be replaced as part of those, so that'll be happening this summer. We do have 2 mill and overlay projects. That's on County Road 45 from CASA 1. Or sorry, I got it wrong there. There we go. CASA 1 to County Road 80 and CASA 8. Beyond that, to the east there, maintenance overlay, our patch budget, will be doing overlay in CASA 1 from that intersection to Highway 23. Maintenance also be overlay in 15 this year from 58 to CASA 3. And then the remaining portion of CASA 12, which is from 3 to CASA 14. Another mill and overlay project that's on the 5-year plan is CASA 13, Little Rock Lake Road. That'll be a mill and overlay from US Highway 10 all the way into CASA 1. So I totaled the miles up. We're just slightly on. We're like 39.98 miles. So 40 miles of road construction this summer. We have 161,000 tons of mix going down on the road, about 57 tons of gravel, or 57,000 tons of gravel, there we go, and about 1.6 miles of culverts being replaced.
Holy
cow.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Heinen.
that brings up an interesting question. Do we have the culverts?
Do we have the
Are we gonna
culverts?
be able to get the culverts?
Yeah, we gotta advertise it right now. I haven't heard anything yet,
Are
so.
the suppliers gonna be able to get the culverts?
Guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah, it's a lot of paving, so I mean, there is a time frame. They could be replacing culverts on one road, getting those, and then paving it, and then, making culverts at the same time.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Pinsky.
you got a lot of staggering numbers there with the 39, almost 40 miles of, but that one with culverts really stands out at 1.5 miles roughly.
Yeah, actually 1.6, but yeah, just over 1.5 miles. I did the math, actually yesterday, and just, kind of summarized, so it's a.
Wow.
Commissioner Pop.
So, how many requests for bids did you have? Or
Oh,
for plans?
We just put, I think right now as of yesterday, there were like 4 or 5 plan holders that pulled plans. Now, some of them are, subcontractors. Sometimes some contractors just pull and they don't bid on it. With that much a mix on the job, per Minnesota spec book, I think the prime contractor has to perform it. Believe it's 40% of the dollar amount of work. So with 161,000 tons, it's most likely the prime contractor will be a paving company.
And Mark, when are they open until?
They are open till April 7th. So at April 7th at 10 a.m., we will open bids. So that'll be at our highway department in the
Good
break
Friday.
room. So you
Good
are
Friday.
definitely most welcome to come for that. Just contractors and some staff, and we open those bids. And we'll see how those prices come in.
Mr. Chair.
Wow.
Commissioner Pop. What brings me to another question. If our bids come in too high and we have to scrap a project or two here and there, do you have something in mind?
I've kind of thought about it. I mean, the last one to be added was County Road 56. I think that one was not in the original 5-year plan, but since we were doing CSAH 21 and we're not too far away with Silver Corners, you know, with CSAH 2 and 1, we had decided to, I think that was the idea, is to add that one in. I do believe, just from what our engineer estimate is right now, we can do as an idea is to advance our state aid. I mean, I think we can agree all these roads need work done on them. So is it a matter of doing it this year or doing it next year? We do have the money we can advance for state aid. Local option sales tax, we'll kind of see where that comes in, but we have a sufficient balance in our Fund 30 that should cover that. But yeah, so I don't know if that answers your question, Commissioner Pop.
Kinda. Yeah. It just seems like, you know, if it's a lot of projects and if we're gonna be way overspent, maybe we'll have to look at something.
Let's see what happens at the
Let's see
bid
what
opening.
happens,
See what
yeah.
happens.
Yeah,
But
yeah, we can see.
You'll need a plan.
Yep.
Because, you know, contractors are gonna bid on that much.
Right.
And the more you add, I think the more appealing it is too.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that potentially, I mean, they bid it, they may affect their prices if we would cut out a project from the list.
Well, let's hope they're under our estimated.
Yeah,
Yep.
no kidding.
But, you know, we've got a lot of projects, you know, and there's gonna be 1 or 2 big companies that are gonna wanna bid on a big project like this too.
Yeah.
So that's very favorable.
Maybe, Mike, remind me of the total dollar amount that we'll need to draw out of the local road fund for 23, was about a $10 million number?
For the local option sales tax, you're saying?
Well, between local option and wheelage, was it about a $10 million number?
Yeah, so I'm projecting with wheelage, I guess, would be 10.8 million.
So heading into 23, we have about 12 million of resources to work with. So we have to be quite a bit over to come up short.
Correct, okay, well, that's good.
So, yeah.
And I mean, I think, I'm hopeful that, the low bid will be lower than our engineer's estimate. I like to provide that they're kind of somewhere in that middle range, between the bidders.
Heading into 23, we had 7.6 million in our local road fund at the end of December. So we should bring in 4 to 5 million between local option and village in 23. So we should have about 12 to work with.
Commissioner
Mr. Chair,
Krasinski.
couple notes on that. Just because we do got enough doesn't mean if they're over, I would be 100% in agreeance that we move forward with all of them, because who knows, maybe next year if the economy drops a little bit, we might be able to save some money with some of these companies. The other side is I thought we talked last week that you might be expecting a couple million over what the engineering budget was, or
If you look, yeah, specifically, so we have different fundings, and I can bring that up. Within that, we split these out, and you can go on, again, our website, you can find this, and definitely I can email it out, but you can see these are different funding sources. So we have our state aid funds, what projects are being funded by that, our transportation sales tax, so local option sales tax. We did break those out, and then when we did the resolution between CSAH County Roads and then the economic development, so we're tracking that, and then we have our wheelage tax, the only project being funded this year by wheelage is CSAH 2. So with state aid, yes, we're projecting to be over the amount that we would have.
okay.
And the same thing with if you look at just local option sales tax itself and what we collect, and what, we'll be spending, both of those would be over. But, with our Fund 30, which includes, more than just local option sales tax, that's what, our administrator was talking about, we would have the cash to fund that. You know, for the sales tax side of things, what we can do is it's called an advance. We can advance to request advance money. There is no interest on that. It's just that we're taking it from next year's balance and using it this year.
Yeah.
So we're getting it done essentially a year earlier. That's not a guarantee every year, but for counties, they've never said that, there's a concern. They never cut us off. They've cut off cities before, but not counties because it's not used as much.
All right, any questions for Mark? I have one quick one before I forget, Mark, and
Yeah.
you may not know the answer to this. The bridge in Maywood Township that originally failed twice for funding, is there a request to get that back on the list and
Yes.
for another application? So that's in process?
Yes, I received a letter from the township. I was gonna send the application in with that attachment of the township's letter.
Yep.
Part of the need is an updated bridge resolution.
Yep.
So I was waiting for our bridges to get added in, and now we have those added. I wanna update our lists and then update the cities. I was just talking with Mark Pappenfuss from the city of Foley about their bridge here in town, get that date added. And so we have to add that bridge back in. Now, again, it was at one point in the resolution, but because state aid had rejected it the first time,
Right.
we did no longer include that in our bridge resolution. So at the next board meeting, I intend to bring before you a bridge resolution for bridge replacement. And
that'll be on there.
yeah, that'll be for consideration. at the
Okay,
next
thank
board
you.
meeting.
Anything else for Mark?
One other thing, just there was a mention, I think, by Commissioner Gopinski at the last board meeting, just an update on lost local option sales tax. We've collected 10.6 million so far. We've spent or committed to spend 5 million. When I say committed to spend, there's a few projects that we haven't released retainage on. So that's the update on that. Looks so far, I mean, it's really early in the year, pretty similar to last year, maybe slightly above. But we did bring in I think it was $3.8 million in 2022.
Wow.
That's way better than 1.9, right?
No kidding.
Double.
Yeah.
Wow. Good.
More of that free money.
Free money,
Sorry.
yeah, right. They're not hearing somebody talking about things.
And
That was tongue in cheek,
another thing,
right?
just construction wise, just note, the standard since I've been with the county, we pave, one driveway on reclaims. So if there's a house there, we'll pave that, but if they have, say, a horseshoe driveway, goes to their house, we don't pave the second one. We're actually right now estimating just on paving the one driveways, it's about 4,200 tons of mix, which is about 350,000 just on driveways. So more we pave, the more it's gonna cost, and 350, put that in perspective, that's about overlaying 3 miles of road.
Wow.
Wow.
So how far back do we pave again? Just for the right of way? right?
Depends on the right of way. So if it's a township where we pave right to the right of way, to give the contractor ample room within a right of way to pave in front of houses, it depends on the right of way. So if it's say a 60-foot right of way, we'll pave 50 feet back. But if the right of way is only 33 feet, then we pave 30 feet back. No, that's from center line of the road. So you minus off 12 feet, or cases of like 1 and 2, we have a 6-foot paved shoulder. So, but yeah.
So going back to 2, you had 2 up there. Is that 2 or is that, or does that, I thought that was always County Road 1 up to 1.
It's Casatu, but the history of the road is it was reconstructed and overlays were done with conjunction of 1. So that's why we're lumping it in, because the pavement is significantly older than the portion of 2 west of Casau 1. So if you drive the road, you can see it's deteriorating pretty.
Deteriorating, but it ain't as bad as the other portion.
Yeah, well, luckily we got
got some
$2
money
million
for that.
on the reconstruction of 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
That's a
one-
huge project.
Yeah.
It's all sand over there anyway.
Well, yeah, most of it.
Do anything.
That's
Well,
why, that's
it's,
why 56 lasted.
There is
so
there is a wetland area just west of,
we
between
replaced it.
78 and 2, and that's not as great of quality material.
And we replaced culverts in there not too many years
We
ago.
did put a center lane, the maintenance did replace a center lane culvert. At that point, we were anticipating doing a mill and overlay, but with that being a minor arterial, which is one step below US Highway 10 and functional classification from the federal standards, we realized that it really needs to be a 10-ton road, and we don't have the width to go up any higher to meet state aid standards to bring it to a 10-ton road.
It's always something.
Oh, yeah, it's just like complicated.
Yeah, two quick last things. The Sartell plat for the paper mill site that was signed last week. I believe it's at the recorder's office right now for the old paper mill site. And then last thing is road restrictions go on tomorrow, Wednesday.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep, thank you.
Commissioner meeting updates. They're gonna be short and sweet. Who wants to start?
I can do, we had Tri-County Solid Waste.
Okay.
And a lot of discussion on, the Pope Douglas resolution and elected new officers. Commissioner Johnson is the vice chair this year.
Yes, good for you.
I don't know, what else did we have discussion on there?
Pretty much it.
Yeah. A lot on the resolution because it was an old resolution and some people weren't happy about just submitting that. And then they're supposed to get the financials to us, I guess, too, so.
Anything else?
Nope, that's good.
Commissioner Kapinski?
All right, I'll just highlight a few meetings. I was pretty busy, but the St. Cloud APO was the biggest one. We had a little heart to heart there on some stuff and about equality and what the perception is and stuff like that went very well. Everybody was in agreeance on, you know, how we figure out who the chairs are, the vice chairs, how they move. You know, we need to have our top priority projects and everybody understand them, not just
Right.
their own projects. So it went very well. Matter of fact, there was a lot of great conversation on it, and
Good.
I didn't think it was going to go that well because I prepped the chair that I was going to be bringing this up, and it went extremely well. So hopefully we keep that moving on the APO side of things. We had our goal setting, that went very well. I had a call with Todd County. I brought you up to speed a little bit on that, but I think they're eventually gonna have us, Commissioner Johnson, myself, and potentially Amanda out to meet with them. I talked I think they had over 100 people at their meeting last Wednesday night. So
Broadband?
broadband, yeah, sorry.
I
Yeah,
didn't know if
sorry.
I missed that.
Yeah, so, I think it originally came from Amanda cause she's got a cabin up there in Todd County.
I'm not sure. I just got a call out of the blue from the person who's the chair of their broadband committee. And it's more of a citizen committee. There's not a
is.
lot of county involvement, sounds like, at this point. So that's how I got the.
Yeah, so they've got about 80% of their county that needs funding.
Yeah, unserved.
Unserved or underserved, and they have not started yet the process of grants. So I went through our whole process and there was great questions and conversations and it went very well, and I offered, without speaking with you, I offered our support up with them to come out and talk to them, so. It's just in Broward.
As long as it includes
Did you-
lunch, I'm good.
So-
Did you give them your outline then, of how to do all this?
Not yet.
We had our GLT meeting, got the state capitol tomorrow for the 23 coalition and the BEP on Thursday. That's
Perfect.
it.
I'll just add a few short items. I was able to make it to St. George Township's annual meeting, and mostly because I wanted to make sure that they had a heads up. I don't know if you recall, but Chad from Benton Communications was looking at a government site to be able to potentially put a location building on for the broadband build out of the southern side of the county. And so I just wanted to bring in front of them, with Chad's permission, that he really would like to look at the St. George Township location, that hall location for that building. So I just wanted to get that in front of them. They were very receptive of it.
Right, okay.
So, and basically it's very, very preliminary at this point. Once we find out if the border grant monies come through, then Chad will be reaching out directly with them and have that conversation. So I just felt it was good for me to get it out in front of them so they didn't get a surprise. And they're, again, very receptive. Also made it to Maywood's annual meeting, which we actually had 79 people vote there this year. So
Wow.
usually maybe 20.
Well, they had an election, though.
They had an election, yeah. And the incumbents won. Tri-County Solid Waste, yes. Tri-County Solid Waste, as Commissioner Pop said, I don't think there's anything else. Of course, I was gone one of those weeks, so. Commissioner Heinen.
Okay, well, yep, I had a lot going on. Criminal justice, Jarrett, you were there.
Oh, that's right.
You know, still talking about beds. Deb Anderson's gonna be bringing more information back to us once she gets all of that. Of course, union negotiations, it's always a fun time. Right, Commissioner Pop?
Yeah.
And career.
Looks like it's gonna get more fun, right?
Career Solutions. And once again, just that Minden board meeting too.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Schlangen?
Okay, I was also on the Career Solutions meeting, talking about grants and funding and programs. I was on the Zoom meeting, talking about tax bills with ANC board, or updates. And with the RSVP, they had a equity, inclusion, and belonging workshop that I was trying to plan on in person, but that was during a snowstorm, so they did put the Zoom option, so that helped out. Then I was down at the college with our state auditor and all the, went through funding reviews and fund balances. The Minden Township, they approved the turned over for the land for Foley. And I think that's probably about it.
Okay, thank you. Any other general comments by commissioners before we move on to setting committee of the holes? Monty, you're up.
We just have one thing to mention. It's a open house for the reconstruction of the Highway 23 and Highway 23 interchange in St. Cloud. That event is Monday, March 27th from 3 to 6 p.m. at MnDOT offices. I believe that's over off Highway, it's 3725 12th Street North, St. Cloud. I believe that's the off Highway 15.
Right.
The
Yep.
MnDOT office is off Highway 15, yes. So Monday, March 27th from 3 to 6. That's all we had.
Okay, and Monty, for next time, could you please put on, let's have some discussion about setting the employee picnic date?
Oh, sure.
Let's talk about that the next
as like a discussion item,
Yep.
schedule an employee
Picnic, yeah.
this
and-
summer.
And members maybe
We'll
start
look at the
thinking
weather
about-
forecast and find that hottest day we can find.
For me, I'm thinking early June or late September.
Long
Let's
range
think about it.
forecast,
Well, let's,
90.
I won't be in September, so
Late September? Okay,
just letting you know.
all right, so let's think about that.
Try and get us meat.
Let's talk about it, next meeting.
Did you want to set that one as a cow?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Move for approval of the cows.
Second.
Okay, motion and second to approve the cow. Any other discussion on cows? Hearing on all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. We are adjourned at 11:14. We'll take a 2-minute recess and we're gonna get right into